my channel is me, Ashley. So as you can see, I came back with a little bit of a glam look as always. Yeah, I go big or go home, so I'm just gonna go ahead and tell y'all that now. But yes, so this look is featuring the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. And just kind of my take in what I was able to achieve with some of those colors that everybody swore up and down did not blend. So yes, this is what I came up with. I hope that you all enjoy the video. If you'd like to see how I achieve this look, keep watching. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial. First off, we're going to start by priming our eyes. Today I'm using the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I'm applying that to the full lid all the way to the brow bone. And then from there, I'm just going to make sure to blend it out and making sure that all areas are covered on the eye. Next up, I'm going to take my Anastasia Beverly Hills Creamy Concealer in the shade 6.5 and a flat liner brush. I'm going to use that to pretty much carve out the bottom half of my brow. I've been enjoying kind of doing my brows this way. It just kind of lays that groundwork as far as like where my arch and my tail and the front half of my brow will be, so that I know not to go any further up with my eyeshadows. From there, I'm just going to make sure to apply a little bit of that concealer to the eyelids as well. This is just going to cancel out any discoloration that I may have. Also, this acts as a base for the eyeshadows, just to kind of create a neutral palette to start off with. And here I'm just blending it out with a blending brush just to make sure everything is smooth and all areas are covered. Then taking the Laura Mercier setting powder, I'm going to use a little bit of that pretty much on any random brush that I found, and I'm just going to apply that to the lid to set everything in place. This just makes sure that our eyeshadows will blend out pretty nicely. Taking the Creative Me palette from Coastal Scents, I'm going to take the orange shade. If you're looking at the palette in the screen on the bottom row, if you're looking at it in person, it's on the top row. But I'm going to apply that into the crease from inner to outer V. This is just going to make sure that everything blends really nicely. This was kind of like my secret weapon when blending out these eyeshadows that everybody swears up and down are super hard to blend. It's all about what you put together and how you make it work. So on to the star of the show, the Subculture palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. And we are going to be working with, I believe, 3 or 4 of these shades today. So first off, we're going to dip into the shade. What is it called? We are going to be using the shade Untamed, and that is the lightest green shade in the palette. I'm going to take that on a Morphe brush, and I'm just going to apply that in the outer V. First off, just kind of doing patting motions, and then from there we're going to blend. Patting motions just ensure that the eyeshadow is placed where you want it to be, and then from there you can blend out the harsh edges and blend to your satisfaction. But I find that when you do patting motions, you kind of lay that groundwork as far as where you want everything to be, how you want your eyeshadow to lay, and kind of like how you want your eyeshadow look to be in the very end as well. So taking that same Untamed shade, I'm going to apply that in the inner corner as well, not in the inner tear duct, but the inner corner of the eyelid. And then once I have it pretty much built up to the shade, I'm going to blend it through the crease. Taking another blending brush, this is by Sonia Kashuk. We're going to take the next green shade in the palette, which is Axis. It's a little bit deeper. And we're going to apply that again to the outer V, making sure to tap the eyeshadow in the area that you want first. And then from there, we're going to blend it out. I find that these shades weren't super difficult to work with. It just really does take a little bit of time. This isn't one of those, let me just pop this on the eyes and kind of run and go. This is one of those, take your time and really figure out what you want your look to be. And so I spent a good amount of time just kind of packing and blending, packing and blending, and packing and blending, because I knew I wanted it to be super intense. But you want your eyeshadow look to be super blended as well, especially when you're doing a halo eye. You shouldn't have any harsh edges when it comes to certain eyeshadow looks as well. Then going back in with that first initial blending brush with no product on it, I'm just kind of blending out any harsh lines and making sure everything is blended out really nicely. Next up, I'm going to take a flat shader brush in the shade ADORN, which is the gold shade in the palette, and I'm going to apply that to the center of the lid for our kind of pop of shimmer in this look. I did wet my brush with a little bit of Fix Plus, only because I wanted to intensify the gold, the eyeshadow, just because I wanted it to really, really pop. But I made sure to tap it on, and I went back in with the blending brush with the Axis shade on it and just kind of blended out the harsh edges as well, so that it wasn't just gold smack dab in the middle of the eye. Now taking the shade Dawn, I'm going to apply that to the highest points of the brow. Again, going back in with a blending brush to blend out any harsh edges. So on to foundation. I'm going to take a little bit of the MAC Fix Plus Coconut Spray. I'm going to spray that all over the face, and then using the Sephora Collection Illuminating Primer, I'm going to apply that all over the face. I found that now I really like that radiance to the skin, that naturalness, just because I don't want to be super matte all the time. Like, that's not the look that I'm going for at all points of every day. So now moving on to foundation, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty foundation in the shade 430. I was using the shade 450. 450 is a little bit too dark for me. 430, once it does dry down, it is the perfect shade for me, I found. So I'm just applying that using the Real Techniques Miracle Sponge Blender. I'm just kind of making sure to apply it all over the face and blend everything out. Nothing too fancy really. Everybody knows how to use a blender. Now moving on to concealer, I'm going to use the Sephora Collection Bright Gel Future Serum Concealer. However it wants to be named. I'm using the shade number 14. I normally use 15, but I was out. So using shade 14, I'm going to blend that out. And I also took a little bit of that concealer on the wand, and I cleaned up the outer V of that eyeshadow look, because I really wanted to make sure that it was pretty much very precise. The reason I really like this concealer is because it blends like a dream. It's not super heavy on the skin or underneath the eyes. And it lasts a really long time on the skin. Like when folks be saying they beat their face, this concealer is really nice to be a part of your face beating process. So now I'm just going to be using the Cover FX Medium Matte Perfecting Setting Powder. I'm going to use that to set all areas where I highlighted, and then taking the Sephora Collection Micro Smooth Powder in the shade 60, I'm going to tap that in the areas that I did not highlight to make sure I set. And then from there, taking the same brush, I'm going to sweep away all of that excess powder and blend everything into the skin. Now I'm taking a fluffy dome brush. I'm using the Studio Fix powder in the shade NW58, and I'm using that to bronze the face. Not necessarily contour, not really trying to be super precise, but this just kind of helps to bring back that warmth and also bring a little bit of definition back to the face. I'm using a pretty much like a domed Sonia Kashuk blending brush, and I always use that to contour the nose. And this is one of my favorite ways to contour the nose area, I should say. Using the MAC blush in the shade Pinch Me, I'm going to apply that to the apples of the cheeks and blend it back. Just a little bit, nothing too harsh. This is my favorite highlighter, the Fenty Beauty highlighter. This is the Kilowatt Duo in Mean Money and Hustla Baby. I'm just going to apply, I believe, the Mean Money side to the highest areas of the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, and a little bit to my Cupid's bow. Now I'm just filling in my brows, and as you can see, once I've done my foundation and kind of, you know, done everything, it's easy for me to do my brows because I know exactly where they are. They've pretty much already been sculpted out. All I have to do is fill them in and extend my tail just a little bit. So off camera, I applied wing liner and some false lashes. These are the number 415s, no specific brand. And now I'm doing my lips. So this combo is the Sephora Collection Gel Liner. This is the shade Molasses. Then taking the Bare Minerals matte liquid lipstick in the shade Boss, which is really pretty on its own, but I wanted a little bit of a gloss. So this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills lip gloss in the shade Dainty on top, just to give a little bit more creaminess, blending it out just to make sure there's no harsh edges. And that is it. So yes, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to thumbs up. Let me know how I'm doing. Leave me any comments down below, any suggestions of videos you would like to see. Any palettes you like for me to review or kind of try out and give you my spin. So yes, I hope you all are enjoying your day whenever you are watching this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.